The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you.
Jesus spoke to his disciples about the end which is to come. In those days, after the time of suffering, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will be falling from heaven, and the powers in the heavens will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. Then he will send out his angels and gather his elect from the four winds, from the ends of the earth to the ends of heaven. From the fig tree learn its lesson. As soon as its branches become tender and put forth its leaves, you know that summer is near. So also, when you see these things taking place, you know that he is near, at the very gates. Truly I tell you, this generation will not pass away until all these things have taken place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. But about the day or the hour, no one knows, neither the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
It is a great joy to be here. St. Paul says, Jesus is waiting for his enemies to be made into a footstool for him, which made me think of three questions. Who are his enemies? Why are they his enemies? And what's he waiting for? Jesus came and defeated sin and death once for all, but we need to think about what the definition of enemy is. An enemy is someone who actively opposes what you're trying to do. Even though the devil and his minions are defeated, they are actively opposing the work of Jesus and our salvation. When he says narrow is the way, he's not kidding. If you want to be prideful, he will give you a stick to point out the faults of others. And if you want to be worthless, he will turn the stick around and hand it to you so you can beat yourself up with it. The humility required to acknowledge that Jesus Christ is Lord and surrender aspects of your life, and in fact, eventually your entire life, to his will, is really what he's asking for. Jesus came, died, crucified, went buried, descended into hell, rose from the dead to defeat sin and death, rose from the dead to sanctify us so that we may have an inheritance in heaven. He's adopted us as his brothers and sisters, and through our lives of conversion, we hope to join him in heaven. He gave us sacraments, which are active tools to use against the devil and his minions as they actively oppose Jesus' work in this world. Reconciliation is what we use to erase the sins we've committed. The scars are left behind as reminders for us, but also through that suffering, these scars are redeemed and allow us to be more compassionate to someone who has done what we've done, more empathetic, more welcoming, more forgiving, but only through the cross. As we move forward, after reconciliation, we get to receive communion and be close to Jesus and close with all of our loved ones who have died before us, close with the communion of saints when we worship God in the Eucharist. So as we move forward, we have these tools at our disposal to keep us close, because it's impossible for us to stay on the narrow way by ourselves. There's 4 people that come to mind in the Gospels that I invite you to think about. Nicodemus came in the dark to ask questions of Jesus because he was afraid of being persecuted. And Jesus welcomed him, answered his questions, Nicodemus found the faith to stand at the foot of the cross. We come to the woman caught in the act of adultery and how gently Jesus received her, forgave her, and asked her to sin no more. We think of the woman at the well, bold enough to ask questions, Jesus humble enough to answer them. We think of Thomas, who was in so much pain he could not believe unless he touched Jesus himself. He was in so much pain. Finally, the last person I want to think about is the thief on the cross. Today is the World Day of the Poor. Think of this man's life prior to his crucifixion. Was he a thief and then cast out by his family because of shame and they didn't want to be judged with him? Was he never forgiven by them? Was he never offered a second chance? Second chance ministry is appropriately named because we do offer this respect to them through the support that we give them so that they can be brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ. We're called to give these second chances because we've been given second chances. And as we move forward to the Eucharist, the penitential act that we did at the beginning, we're offering our contrite hearts because we want to be in communion with Jesus. He's interceding for us with the Father right now. The last question is, what's he waiting for? Jesus is waiting for us. If you were the last person on earth and you were in need of conversion, he would wait for you. This is his love for us. He said, not one of those that have little ones have been given to me will be lost. Jesus is waiting for us. Our free will is the gift that he's given us so that we could be in a loving relationship with God, not to do what we please. And as we enter into this loving relationship with God, we are serving others. It's for the good of others. If we turn this love and act selfishly, it's for our own good, to the detriment of others. And I invite you to think about this as we ponder the World Day of the Poor, that we need to turn this love outward and welcome people. Welcome the new immigrants to Canada, where the society that they came from was rooted in selfishness so that they could survive. As we come to the Eucharist, let's think of the loving tears that Christ is shedding for us, waiting for us to change, calling us back to home. And we move forward into the Eucharist. Let's be mindful of the loved ones who have gone before us. We're about to join them in communion.